You're listening to a show on the Planet Film podcast feed. Hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Sean Monk.
And I'm TJ Cornwell.
This is the Planet Film podcast. All right, and welcome. I see. Just want to shout out. First things first. I do have the live chat up today. I didn't have it up last week, which I realized basically with 5 minutes left in the show. But I do have it all up. So welcome, Molly Aaron on Twitch, and I see we have a couple other people watching. So feel free if you're watching Twitch, YouTube, even Facebook, whatever. I'll be monitoring the chat. So let me know, if you guys want to contribute to the conversation or, share any sort of your personal connection with, the main topic we were talking about today, which we'll get to in a minute. But like we've talked about many times on this show, this year is just kind of beating us into the dirt. So before we get into thing I hoped we would maybe be talking about on show 6,895.
Yeah.
But instead we're talking about it in episode 15. So before we get to that awful topic that we're going to be discussing today, and then our review, which is, going to be kind of a bright spot of the year, which is, a nice light movie that we're going to be reviewing today, Bill and Ted Face the Music. How have you been? What's up, TJ? I know you said that you had something that you wanted to bring up. So what do you got? Shoot it at me.
All right. So it's been a wild past few days, I would say.
Oh boy.
So Saturday night, I went to a gathering for the first time in, I feel like, a while. Like, I haven't really done much lately. So I found out yesterday morning that I happened to have come in contact with someone at that gathering with someone who had come in contact with someone who had COVID. So
is that
today?
Is that 3 layers removed or just 2?
2.
Or well,
two.
technically
Sorry.
1. I mean, so
yeah,
you, middle person, COVID person.
Yes.
Oh boy. Okay. Continue.
So, so I got a text yesterday morning. I think it was. Yeah, yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, "Hey, like, somebody at our thing was in contact with somebody who had COVID, so you might want to get tested to be safe." And I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, the one time I do something and like go, and of course this happens.
Bites you. Yeah.
So, now you're probably thinking, this should be easy. I'm hearing about all this rapid testing that's going on in Erie County. The state is bringing out rapid testing is it Geneseo? Is that what it is? The college that was, or is it, God, what was it called? It's either Geneseo or Oneonta. I think it's Geneseo or something. With all these kids that are infected.
Danielle, I just turned it up a little bit. Let me know if that's better. She said my mic was low.
So I call. So I'm like, okay, well, I got to get tested, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I call the rapid testing hotline, as they tell you to call.
Yeah.
So I've called 4 times. 4 times. Every single time they tell me it's booked. Everything. It's all booked. There's no getting in. Full up. And where I live right now, there's only one location that's like kind of right down the street. It's ECC North on.
Yeah.
I forget what street it is. But so, and come to find out, I think yesterday when I was calling, it ends tomorrow.
The period of rapid testing?
Yes. So I'm like, okay. So I've been trying to do that. So then I was already going to go to immediate care and get a test like you did. And, so I go there today and, so I sit down with the lady and I made like an appointment, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, first when I walk in, she was like, well, do you have any symptoms? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, what insurance do you have? And I was like, I told her the insurance and she was like, well, they don't cover that. if you're asymptomatic. So it's going to be $175.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay. So then we sit down and she's like, well, when were you, what's it called? When did you come into contact with the person?
Yeah.
And by the way, before I went in there, I had found out that the person that I was in contact with was positive. So, but my friend, yes, but one of my friends that was there was negative. So it was kind of 50-50 at this point. So I'm like, well, either I have it or I don't, I mean, obviously it's always 50-50. Yeah. So I go in there, I sit down and she's like, well, when did you come into contact with this person? And I was like, well, Saturday. And then she's like, okay, well, that's only like 3 to 4 days. So you should really wait 5 days, because if you do it before then, there's a chance you can get a false negative. And then, you're out $175 for a false negative. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, fair. So come back home. And it's kind of where I'm at now. It kind of ends right there. I'm probably going to go tomorrow or Thursday. Mm-hmm. And I'll just be like, I really should have just lied. I should have just been like, I can't taste anything.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to prove that? Yeah. Like, you give me a piece of food, I'd be like, nope, nothing.
Yeah. Blind taste test.
Exactly.
So question. So what happens with your job? What happens with work if you get it? Because I was told when I did my test, they said you can't go out. You got to stay in case. So is that something that do you get? Oh boy. All right, I'll figure out what's going on with my mic. But do you get like paid? Do you get back on unemployment for that time being? How does that work?
Well, I'm working from home. I work from home 2 days a week. Currently, I go in 3 times usually. Mm-hmm. Where I work is considered an essential business. So the policy I was told is if you're asymptomatic, you can still go in. You just have to take more precautions. Like you have to take your temperature like twice a day and stuff like that. But since I work at a place that's considered essential, then I would be able to go in. I don't plan on going into work until my plan was to get tested today, then go on Friday. But if I get tested tomorrow or Thursday, I'll probably maybe I'll wait till Monday or something. But most of the time I go in, like, I'm not in a crowded room. Like I have like my own kind of like office that I share with like 2 other people, and usually one of us is always not there. So it's like we're pretty distant like all the time. But yeah. That was a tough phone call to make, I'll tell you. I did not want to call and be like, hey, just so you know, like, granted, I haven't been at work, so it's like I wasn't there yesterday. Yeah. Just because that was my regular day to work from home.
So have you been
I was like
in contact with anyone else like since then?
No. I've just been with Danielle here, and that's it.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, Sunday I didn't even know. That's the thing. Like I just found out yesterday. Yeah. So like it's a good thing I didn't go anywhere. God
damn. Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, I was like, I was doing pretty well. Like, man, it's really annoying. It's just been like the fact that when I found out, I was like, okay, I'll pay the $175 because like I need the test. It's not like I can't not get one. But it's like they're on the phone. Like our other friend that was also there, he got a rapid test, but then one of our other friends couldn't. So it's like, it's like, I feel like we're getting like jerked around a little bit where it's like, so like yesterday when I called, they told me to call at 7 a.m. today to schedule for Thursday. But then they told me today, well, it's ending Wednesday. And it's like, okay, then why did this person tell me to call about Thursday?
Yeah.
And then today the person on the phone at 7 a.m. when I called, they were like, well, they're all booked, but I don't know if you want to make the drive out to whatever college that was, like Genesee or whatever it was, to get tested. And I was like, that's like 2.5 hours away. It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll just,
That's rough. That is rough.
It's been really annoying. Literally in the last 24 hours.
I thought I had a hectic 24 hours. So last night, the person that I am I've talked about before, I'm moving in with a roommate. The person that I'm moving in with, last night. Their car died, and this was they work at a place that's like 25 minutes away. Or no. Sorry, I forgot where I live for a second. That's like an hour away from my house, but like a 20-minute drive away from their house. And so I had to get up at like 2:30 and go and look for this person. And I ran out of gas on the way, so I had to pull off of the thruway by the Galleria Mall, which is like 40 minutes away from my house, fill up my tank, which luckily my unemployment check cleared literally 30 minutes before I had before I ran out of gas. So I had the money to do it. And then I was there looking for this person and their car, in which time that person's phone died.
Oh my God.
And their car started and drove home. So I was out there looking for this person who all the information I had was, this is the street corner. I'm here. Come pick me up. And I was literally driving around because there was no car. And so eventually I just drove back to this person's house at like almost 4 a.m. after like 2 hours of driving. And finally they got there. And apparently what happened was they were sitting there, stopped on the side of the road because their car died for like an hour. And then they finally tried it and it started, and they just like hauled ass home basically. And because their phone died, they had no way to tell me until they got home and charged their phone. So I thought I had a rough, like past 24 hours, but that
does suck.
Yeah.
Speaking of cars real quick, I actually did just get a new car too last Thursday. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Oh yeah. What did you end up getting?
I got we went looking for a Toyota.
Mm-hmm. You said a RAV4 you were looking for?
Yeah, I left with a Honda Civic. Or Honda Civic. Honda CRV.
Wow.
2017.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that is nice. What color did you get?
Just so you know, I don't know if it is for you. Oh, it's not better now. I'm like very choppy, my video. I don't know about you, but when I'm...
Oh, really? Yeah. On OBS, it looks fine. Yeah. Let me see what it looks like live.
Okay. My video, I don't know.
No, it looks fine. Yeah. All right. Let us know also, for those in chat. I listened. It sounds like my mic is a little bit better. I turned up the gain way more. Let us know if there's any issues or anything for anybody watching. Yeah. So with that, I think we're good to go ahead and start with the show. It's going to be a shorter show today because just out of respect for what happened, we're just going to really mainly focus. We're not going to cover all the news that happened this week. We're just going to talk about the main thing and kind of a look back on it. And then we'll do our review and then close up for the show. Just kind of keeping it a nice light show. We're not going to be doing speculation for the future of Black Panther or anything like that. We're just going to give it some time to breathe. Kind of just focus on the positive stuff. And so that, unfortunately, the thing that we are talking about, that as you know from the title, and if you haven't been living under a rock for the past, gosh, what is it? Feels like it's been a long time, for the past 4 days, which is all that it's been, which is that, unfortunately, the star of the Avengers films and Black Panther, as well as Captain America Civil War, and as well as many other things that we'll get to, Chadwick Boseman, suddenly to us, but not suddenly to him and his family, passed away at the very, very young age of 43. This was just... I'm going to read out the statement that was made, which...
on his Twitter.
Yeah, before I even read it, something to speak to the power of the man that he was and his impact is the fact that this has become, in those 4 days, this is the #1 most liked thing on Twitter ever. It's sitting right now at 7.6 million likes, which, you might think like, oh, well, like YouTube views like get more than that or something, but like this is like Twitter. You're talking about Twitter likes. Those normally, maybe if one mega blows up, you'll get 1 million likes. Like this is 7.6 is unheard of. I think it was something like the number 2 place was when Twitter itself announced that they were doubling the character limit. I think that was like the previous one that got the most likes. So it's like, does that even really count? But yeah, this one blew it out of the water, which, like I said, just goes to show you the impact that he had just on this specific tweet, which I'll read now, which was just a statement from the family, which is a beautiful picture of him by the photographer Sam Jones, who I believe, if you want to listen, I believe he was even on. Sam Jones has a podcast, and I believe Chadwick had an episode on there. He interviewed most of the MCU guys and did photo shoots for them. So I believe you can even go back and listen to that Chadwick episode. But with the statement here, it just reads, it is with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much, from Marshall to Five Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more. All were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. It was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther. He died in his home with his wife and family by his side. The family thanks you for your love and prayers and asks you to continue to respect their privacy during this difficult time. So I know we were actually watching the same thing when the news broke, which was, for those who don't know, I know we've talked about it previously on the show. We're big fans of the Schmodown and, you know, the Schmoes Know, Christian Harloff, that whole SEN used to be Collider Empire that they have over there.
Yeah.
They had a huge, massive match on Friday night. It was their biggest match ever. It was 2 celebrities, but they've had celebrity matches before. This was big for them because this was celebrities as competitors, not like some charity exhibition thing. This was like, it was Chris Jericho from WWE versus Kevin Smith, who obviously Kevin Smith. So it was a huge thing. Me and TJ were both watching it, and it was almost as soon as they announced who the winner was of the match, I looked at my phone, and that minute was when this went out, because the show was supposed to end around 10 and this tweet went out at 10:11. It was like literally the first thing I saw. It was just, for me, I'll just touch on really quick, like coming off of that, like watching this great match, like watching this thing where I'm just like having this in my head where, you know, this community that I've been a part of for 6 years is having this great milestone. And then to open Twitter and or not even Twitter, just look at my phone and see all the notifications just starting to flow in about this. I was like beside myself. I couldn't even believe it. I know I texted you. We were talking before air. I just literally messaged him. I just was like, Chadwick.
Yeah, and I was like, what are you talking about?
I was like, because I didn't even know if it was real. I was like, this is like awful. And then you looked it up. What was your first impression? How was your first feeling when you heard this news?
I mean, this tweet I feel like was like, well, him passing is like a Kobe, like another like Kobe-esque, you know, where it's just like, you're like, what? You're like, that's not real. Yeah. Like with Kobe, it was like TMZ reported it first, but I think his account was the first one that tweeted it, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't like multiple outlets being like, oh, he passed away.
Yeah, that's why nobody was like, oh, this can't be real, because it was right from his official Twitter and his official Instagram.
I had no idea he was 43. I thought he was younger than that. I thought he was way younger.
Yeah, he was always someone to me that I would be like, I would like say to people, I would be like, how old, if you had to guess, how old do you think Chadwick Boseman is? And they would be like 28, 32.
Yeah, that's like what I thought. Like, I thought he was like early 30s, late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
But yeah, like I said, like this is one of those things where it's like, damn. It's like, you know, and we'll touch on it a little bit. Like he's done so many important roles from, Marshall and Black Panther and James Brown and it's just
Jackie
crazy
Robinson
to see
even.
somebody, Jackie Robinson. It's just crazy to see somebody so young. And he's almost like he was up and coming still, I feel like he had done those roles and stuff.
You think like he was on, obviously I scrolled through his IMDb, as I'm sure every single person on earth did this past weekend. And you look, it's like from 2002 to 2011, it's like, one episode of NCIS, one episode of All My Children, one episode of Law and Order, like it was all this stuff for like almost 15 years. And then boom, he did like an 8-episode run on a series, and then he immediately landed 42 with Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
And then he just goes right from there into this run.
Yeah.
And you think that was 2013 that 42 was, or maybe 2012 even? Which really the star power of that film was backing on like, Harrison Ford is doing this like biopic, and also it's an up and coming guy playing Jackie Robinson. Like, let's check it out. So like people like he was an unknown quantity when that movie came out, and then he immediately gets Get On Up right after that. Immediately goes into that to play James Brown, who is another huge historical figure that he has portrayed. And then, we'll touch on the MCU after, but then he starts his success with the MCU with Civil War, and then he lands another powerhouse biopic historical role in Thurgood Marshall in Marshall, which was filmed mostly here in Buffalo, where I put to my personal socials that I must have told you, like, talked about this with you at some point over the years, but that back then, like, I just randomly met him at CVS in Kenmore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just had randomly met him at a CVS in Kenmore. It was one of those things where I was like standing there and I was like, "Is that?"
Yeah, you kind of do the double take. It's like, wait, who? Yeah.
Because like I didn't know that Marshall was filming here at the
time. Yeah, I had seen like there's people tweeting like from here, and they were like, he wanted to be like in the city, like engrossed in the city. He wasn't one of those people that was like,
like I'm gonna stay in my hotel room.
Exactly. Like he like walked around. I mean, you saw him in Kenmore. I can't imagine they were filming like in Kenmore. I imagine they were filming downtown.
That was the thing that I thought was I was exactly when you said like he wanted to be part of it, like for the like if you want to think on a more out there like basis, that's like if a movie's filming in New York City and you spot like the celebrity in it in like Newark, because like Kenmore's a suburb of Buffalo, which for those who don't know, Marshall was filmed all of its outdoor stuff and most of its entirety was filmed in Buffalo. And it was just like the coolest thing. And he just, just from all accounts, he's just absolutely the nicest guy that you could ever meet. You know what I mean? Like he knew the power that he had. Yeah. It's just, I don't even know. Yeah. And Danielle just said, Josh Gad came to the theater while they were filming that too back then.
And I just thought like one of the like, you remember like when I think there was like this one video when there's probably I think there was a crowd or something like Chadwick do the thing like the Black Panther like the Wakanda Forever thing, and he goes like this and everybody's like, oh, he's over it, but it's like, I remember like in high it's like he's probably just like really sick.
Yeah.
And even that picture of him, like when everybody was like, oh my God, you see how much weight he lost? Like, and in your mind, you're kind of thinking like, oh, it's for a role or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't immediately go, oh, he's like, I mean, yeah. And not lack for like maybe a better term, but he's like dying.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. I mean,
and it's almost like, it's like, oh, man, it's like, damn it. It's just really sad, and it makes you think like it's so fast, like anything could happen. Like you could just, not to be depressing, but like you could just be gone like that, and it's like, it's like what,
I just, and you look at all of the, and I was thinking too about maybe like should I pull up a list of all the celebrities just outpouring everything, and I was like, there's
Yeah.
honestly at this point there's too many to count. Like
Hmm.
you look at the tweet from Chadwick Boseman's, the only one I see here that the only celebrity that actually like subtweeted it or like commented on it is Mark Ruffalo. He's the first pinned one. So I'll just read that one out because I'm not gonna look everywhere else for all of them
Hmm.
because there are so many. But just right underneath it, you can pull it up. Anybody watching, just pull up the Chadwick tweet. It's the first tweet right under it. It's just from Mark Ruffalo. It just says, "It was the highest honor getting to work with you and getting to know you. What a generous and sincere human being. You believed in the sacred nature of the work and gave your all. Much love to your family and much love from all of us left here." And when I read that stuff, or when I was reading that stuff, it's like, okay, the Chris Evanses, the Scarlett Johanssons, the RDJs, Mark Ruffalo's of the world.
Hmm.
It makes sense that they didn't know. But then you get these things from like Ryan Coogler
Cooler,
and
yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, who by all accounts was probably the closest thing to, at least celebrity wise, I'm sure privately has more, but like the closest thing to like Chadwick Boseman's best friend and Michael B. Jordan, and they didn't even know. Like that was
Hmm.
like the fact that it was like one of those things where it was like, oh, like he never made it public. It's like he didn't even make it private past like seemingly a really small amount of people,
Yeah.
which is like crazy to
Which
me.
I feel like with one of those things, it's like, if I mean, obviously I have no experience with this, but I feel like if you tell like somebody that's, has some sort of um status in anything, it's like you almost know it's gonna get leaked. Like it's one of those things where it's like I should just keep this to myself because I don't want it spreading all over the news and I don't want to be asked questions about this like constantly. Um yeah, it's just really tough. Even like I was surprised like Ryan Coogler didn't know.
Yeah, that was the one that really struck me was like the fact that Michael B. Jordan didn't know. That was nuts to me.
Hmm.
And really, I mean, really, you look at just I don't have him up in front of me, but just I remember reading Ryan Coogler's statements. Like he was like his whole thing was about like dude, I was writing lines for you yesterday,
Hmm.
like writing lines that you. I think the quote that it was like, I was just writing lines for you that now I know like the universe had destined for you never to say or something like that.
Hmm.
And he was just like just trying to wrap his head around that. I can't even imagine like being that close to somebody, and doing something where I mean, what just think like if Ryan Coogler on like Friday morning had like some big breakthrough with the script and he's like, "Oh my god, this is going to be like fantastic for the sequel." And then it's like all that is gone in a matter of
Hmm.
hours. I just it's just it's terrible. And then also the only person who I don't know if he knew or not, because his comments didn't really say one way or another, is Kevin Feige. I don't know if he knew.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt that he would have known because I think if he had known, there wouldn't be so much of like, oh, what are we gonna do? Because it's like I feel like if Kevin Feige had known, there would have been a plan in place. You know what I mean? Like Ryan Coogler would not have been writing for T'Challa, or maybe he would have to be writing an alternative script. You know what I mean? One if anything
Hmm.
were to happen. But yeah, I mean, let's just touch really quick just on, we already talked about really his main, the historical roles of Marshall and all that. But I mean, let's just touch on the and like I said at the top of the show, we're not going to get into where do we go from here with Black Panther and all that. It clearly speaks for itself that this was a character and a role that was being teed up, at least in my opinion, to being teed up to be the next
For a large part.
Captain America type role. And obviously not talking Sam Wilson and stuff. I'm talking like filling that void of star power in the film. Like they were kind of teeing it up to be like almost him and Doctor Strange being the new Tony and Cap dynamic. So it'll be just be something that we look at to see where that goes, but we're not going to touch on that today. We're just going to talk about what we did have with him as the character of Prince and then King T'Challa, and his, in my opinion, beautiful portrayal of Black Panther in the 4 movies that we got him in. So what are your thoughts? Try to remember back to like Civil War. What were your thoughts, first seeing this guy on the scene? I know for me, I'll just touch on quickly while you're thinking. I know for me, it was something where I was like, okay, this guy immediately fits in and just has something about him. And for me, I think my 2 favorite T'Challa moments from Civil War, which obviously he's a side character. Pretty much everybody is in that movie, but he has some really big moments for it being his first introduction. Like you take Spider-Man, for example. Spider-Man's in it like 15 minutes, then he's out. T'Challa is throughout the entire movie. And I think my 2 favorite moments of him is right after the spoiler alerts for all these movies, right after the bombing of the UN where his father dies. The talk that he has with Natasha on that bench when he says that quote that everybody's tweeting, where the whole, where he's talking about, for my culture, like I'm not mourning because for my culture, death isn't an end. It's a stepping off point. Which is like, I just, that scene is amazing. And then the other scene, which is with Zemo at the end, is the one where Zemo is kind of like confessing like that he's just kind of like, he did all this to them and he doesn't even feel anything. Like he's just like, it's just a waste. And T'Challa has this great speech where he's like, vengeance has consumed you. It's consuming them, talking about Tony and Cap and their fight, which still, was not mended until Endgame. And he says, vengeance is consuming them. I'm done letting it consume me. And right there, this guy is a guy that we met in this movie who has had maybe 20 lines of dialogue up until this point, and he has the most emotional arc in the entire film. And this is his very first outing. That to me, and that's just talking about this guy's performance in just the first movie. This is not even talking about his own movie or the big impact he has in the next 2. So what are your thoughts on him in Civil War?
I mean, I agree with you on all aspects of what you just said. I thought he was, I don't know who I would have cast, like, because honestly, before he showed up in Black Panther, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know like what he had acted in beforehand or but I feel like he brought a lot of like charisma to the role, and Civil War especially. I didn't know like what to think of the character at first. Black Panther was what actually like solidified me of who the character was and what he stood for, and and I remember like I think one of the best scenes in Black Panther is that the car chase scene when they're driving. I don't even know what city it is.
South Korea, like
where he's like
that whole thing.
Yeah, he's like jumping from car to car and the car's flipping over and Andy Serkis hang out to the side and and like I said before, I think I didn't say it when we weren't live or anything, but I haven't seen like any other of the movies that he's been in. So like I've seen all the movies where he's Black Panther, like Endgame, Infinity War, blah blah, but I haven't seen like The Five Bloods, Marshall, and Get On Up and etc. But he just like, I think it's going to be weird if actually, we're not even getting into it. But I can only picture him saying the things that character said.
Yeah.
Like he would. It's almost like he really embodied it, and obviously you could tell too from the way he acted.
Yeah.
Not on camera, where he's like, he's doing the thing like with everybody, and
even just look at just look at the accent that he did.
Yeah,
that may like that accent was like so like I remember what's it called? I thought I was like I thought maybe he had like an African accent or something because I hadn't seen 42 or anything before I saw like a trailer for Civil War. So like I just thought maybe that was how he talked, or like we'd seen like the clips and stuff of him as T'Challa, and then I had actually seen Get On Up before I went to see Civil War, and then I saw 42 a little bit after that. So I was like, maybe this guy just has a killer American accent. I was like, because I just didn't know anything about him because he was so fresh on the scene. Like we talked about a little bit ago, this guy, you say famous, but he's been famous for really only like 6 years. And you have somebody go from relative obscurity doing these bit roles every now and then on daytime television or like the NCISs of the world, go to something where maybe 10 films and 6 years later, just in that time, in 10 films and 6 years, captivate the entire world to the point where his unfortunate passing at an early age, like you said earlier, is on par with somebody like Kobe Bryant, who has been in, think about that. Think about how long Kobe Bryant had been in the public eye. And the fact that this guy had his death affected the world in such a way that I don't even know how to articulate it. You know what I mean? It's just so hard to like put it into words, but it's just, you think about how quickly his star rose, you know what I mean? Like, and just the fact that it's so unfortunate that we only got him for such a little amount of time. Like, and the fact and how much work he did. I think honestly, one of my favorite things I read from people was President Obama. It was I think the last line of Obama's tweet, which was he had a longer thing about it, but his last line was, what a use of his years. And I was like, that was like perfect. That was like the exact way to do it. Because you think, you know what I mean? Like, he kept this private and he kept going. These are almost all, besides like Marshall and stuff, everything he's been doing lately, he's been producing some of the stuff he's in, and they're all like action movies that he has to bulk up for as
exactly.
he's in chemo. Like,
I think that speaks to the fact of just how strong-willed of a person he was, that he's going on set, as the tweet says, after these surgeries, after this chemotherapy, and nobody unless they did, and he just was like nothing, but he just said nothing, but nobody was like, are you okay? Like, are you sick? Like, blah, blah, blah. But like, I can't imagine that. Like, that is crazy to me.
Yeah. Trying to, I don't even know. So, all right, let's talk, a little bit about, let's go out of order. Let's talk a little bit about his appearances in, we'll do Infinity War and Endgame at the same time. And then I think we'll close out before the quick break to the review, just talking about Black Panther. So, for me, I'll say, I think his death in Infinity War is where I really, like, you see all the people going away. I don't think it was until, and remember, folks, this is the third appearance of this character in 2 years, right? Because he was in Civil War in 2016, then Infinity War and Black Panther and Infinity War back to back. So we had still relatively just met this guy, and when everybody's dusting away and stuff, and I think it was very intentional. It doesn't really hit you, I think, until he grabs Okoye's hand, and you see that somebody's dusting away, but you'd think maybe obviously it would be her, but then you realize no, it's him, and he's gone, and you're like, what? Like we just. What?
He just got here.
Yeah, like exactly. Like you see people like Bucky and like Sam and stuff go, but you're like, oh, okay, so they're like, but the big people are staying, and then
exactly,
and then
like the new people they brought in, right?
Yeah,
like you got.
Oh my god, and because you got to remember too, he's way before any of the other guys on Titan, so he's way before Peter, way before Star-Lord, all those guys. You're like, there's no way that this guy's gonna die right here, and when he goes, I was like, that was it for me. I was like, all right, this is, I don't know what's going on, like I don't know what is going to be the future of this, and I think that's impactful for him.
That's one of those things that makes his return in Endgame so great is I feel like that, on top of like the on your left and the Avengers Assemble, but when he comes in with the chant, like oh my god, like it just gives you chills, and it's like, and it like gives you a sense of like, we got this, and a sense of camaraderie, and everybody's coming together to work together, and it, man,
that look
sucks.
I wish I had it queued up to throw it up on screen, but that look where Steve is just, where he's staring down basically the barrel of a loaded gun in the form of staring down an entire army, and he is ready to, that's something, just to kind of veer off for a second, just talk about Captain America. I think that's the essence of the Captain America character, is Steve Rogers is the guy who is willing to fight the unwinnable fight and is willing to do it by himself, but he never has to, because everyone will rally to his side. And I think that is why it's so apparent. Yes, Sam obviously is the person who says on your left, but the very first person you see out of the portal is T'Challa. It's the very first person you see in that amazing sequence. He is the very first person. And that is not for no reason. Because you see, just in a couple of years, how much, they had each other's back. T'Challa took in Bucky, helped him, got Cap, his friend, back, and then Cap also has a little bit of guilt that T'Challa died. You know what I mean? Like, because you got to remember that whole 5 years, he was dead. I just think his thing, and I mean, yes, he was great in Infinity War. The whole "get this man a shield," great line, fantastic line. But I just think his role, his even smaller role in Endgame than Infinity War, obviously, I think even speaks more powerfully to his character, just in those few short scenes. And it's like, it's just terrible to me that like the last shot. Well, I don't know what they're going to do, because like I said, we're not speculating, but as of right now, the last actual shot of him in the movies is at Tony's funeral, and that's the last we're gonna see of him. It's like, it's just awful. So what do you remember first coming out of Black Panther the film that kind of spoke to you? I know you said earlier when we were talking about Civil War that really it wasn't until Black Panther that it kind of solidified for you what this guy's all about, what his whole thing is. What do you want to talk about that, about his performance specifically in Black Panther, and what spoke to you with that?
I mean, I've only seen the movie once. And it was like when it first came out. So that was 2018, 2017, in there. But I think I would just speak to, I think what you said earlier with after the fight with Killmonger, and just like I feel like the heart to heart that they have, you know, sitting there. I think it's like on a mountain, like on a cliff, like with the sunset
Yeah.
almost, and you know them just like talking it out. And I obviously I don't remember the exact lines or anything, but you know, like I said before, he just brought I feel like so much of that character that as soon as I saw him, and I was like, that's the guy, you know. Like I
Yeah.
don't see anybody else. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, or we could cast this guy as Black Panther. It's like, nope, that's Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I just think just touching on Black Panther itself, the movie, um, I just think I was watching. It was hard to watch. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was kind of my mom was watching it in the living room because for those who don't know, ABC obviously, which is owned by Disney, they
yeah.
immediately basically they just tossed out their entire weekend primetime lineup and aired Black Panther completely commercial free,
Yeah.
and then aired a 2020 special on Chadwick.
Oh,
Yeah, that night. And so I was like, I'm not ready. Like, I can't watch the whole movie yet. I was like, I can't do that. So my mom was watching in the living room, and I would go in and out and stuff. And I watched I made sure I watched that South Korea, the car scene, the car chase
hmm
scene, because that is just like fantastic. That is so good. And I mean, to me, honestly, I think what that movie gave us, which I love, is because we didn't really see it that much in Civil War. We didn't really see it that much in Infinity War and Endgame because there was so much else going on. Saw it a little bit in Infinity War, but not as much as in Black Panther. Is his humor? I think we got the nobility and the prowess that he commands when he walks into a room as that character in the other films, but I think his humor really showed through in that film with the I never freeze that that
hmm
great line from that and I just and his relationship with Shuri and everything being
yeah,
built on and him and Angela Bassett. It just really unfortunately the thing that I love the most about Black Panther is how excited it got me to see this character going forward. And
yeah.
unfortunately, that's something that we're going to have to just understand. It's not going to happen, which is something, like we said, I never, ever, ever expected to be saying that.
No,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, what do you have anything else that you want to touch on that we haven't talked about yet in this little look back kind of remembrance of him?
No, I think just what we said today, and obviously what other people said, have just said. What other people have said is this. I feel like he was such a such a strong person, but also like as I said earlier, I feel like still like an up and coming actor. Um, and it just sucks, man. This
Hmm.
fuck this year.
Yeah, I just don't even. I don't even know how to. I don't really have anything else to say. It's just like you said. This year is just it's like beating us into the dirt. Um, I just I don't know. It's just awful. It's just absolutely terrible. But it's like everybody said. We just have to be thankful for what we got from him.
Yeah,
Like Obama said, the use of his years
yeah.
was really, really great. And the fact that it's something that it's like, it's not even one of the. I guess the last thing I will say is this that I think I haven't touched on enough, which is, I don't. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, this person died suddenly, but man, he really made a great use of his years. Chadwick knowingly was dying and still did all of this. You know what I mean? He knew that his time was limited and he still did it. As opposed
hmm
to somebody like, and I'm not to say that one's better than the other. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. Just as opposed to someone, like a Heath Ledger, let's say, that is like, oh man, but or not even Heath Ledger. I think a better example would be somebody like a Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, man, what a use of the time here that he would just kept working, right up until the end. But this is something that, Chadwick was, you have to imagine, he probably was told that this thing is terminal a long time ago. And he was just like, well, whatever time I have left, I'm just going to keep going, which is crazy to me. So yeah, that would be the last thing that I would say on that. But yeah, with that, we are going to try to move forward. Like we said, we eventually will be talking, what's going to happen next. Because at some point, we're going to be getting news on Black Panther 2, what's going to be going on. So, at some point, we will talk about that. It's just, we just both kind of felt like, give it some time to breathe. It's just, we're not there yet. I think it's something that, you need to kind of sit in the legacy that he leaves behind for a little bit before you start just jumping all over, well, what comes next? What's the next step? So yeah, with that, I'll say we will be right back in just a minute. We're just going to take a real quick break. And like we said, it's going to be a shorter show. So we're just going to come back, do the review, and then we will be calling it there. So stick around. We will be right back in just a second. All right, and welcome back. As we said, just a real quick break there, just kind of collect ourselves and kind of try to shift gears here. I know we've had a lot of shows where we've had to kind of talk about some real sad stuff and then just kind of pivot to some exciting stuff. But
yeah,
we have one of the most highly anticipated films of the year that we are going to be reviewing. I know it's been highly anticipated for this show. We've had, strangely, if you had asked me when we started this podcast, if Bill and Ted would kind of mean so much to the early days of it, I wouldn't really have thought so. But, you could go back, listen to our episode where we reviewed Excellent Adventure, then go back to last week where we reviewed Bogus Journey. And then you can also check up on the channel. We have a trailer reaction to Bill and Ted Face the Music trailer. So take a look at that. And then today we are going to be capping it off with our full review of Bill and Ted Face the Music. So like we do every single week, TJ, do you want to go ahead and read off the IMDb for us?
Sure. Let's do it. Oh, wow. This is rated PG-13. Oh, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. So Bill and Ted Face the Music 2020 came out, I think, last Thursday, I want to say. So synopsis on IMDb is, once told they'd save the universe during a time-traveling adventure, two would-be rockers from San Dimas, California find themselves as middle-aged dads still trying to crank out a hit song and fulfill their destiny. Directed by Dean Parasot, I believe it is, and then writers Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon. Stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, Samara Weaving, Kristen Shaw, Bridget Lindy Payne, William Sadler, and then Anthony Kerrigan, and Jayma Mays, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. All right, and then is there a box office for this?
There is minimal box office. But something that I just want to look up real quick. I'll see if I can even find.
And Kid Cudi, sorry, he's in this too. My bad.
Oh yeah. Let's see if I can find something like that. I'm gonna try and pull up some VOD info. But yeah, we will take a look at that. Because this is obviously on, like I do every week when it's available, which, like I've said almost every single week, eventually we're going to have a box office segment on this show, and eventually these numbers are going to be a lot more impressive when we're reviewing new movies. But unfortunately, we have another week of kind of low numbers because that's going to be a low theater count for everything going forward. Basically, drive-ins and select stuff that's open. And so we have a worldwide opening total of about 1.2 million. So that is not too bad, especially for it being mainly a what do I want to call it? Mainly a drive-in release, which that's going to severely hinder however much money it can make. And right now it's saying, it's saying that it's racking up about 800. This was a report from Monday, so it might be more by now. But it says it's raked up about 800,000 in VOD, which is a lot. I mean, that's almost $1 million in the first 3 days. That's a lot.
It's not bad.
I know personally, myself, you rented it, right? You didn't go to the.
I did rent it.
Drive it. Oh, okay. So that's what. Or okay. Well, that answers my question because I was gonna say, did you rent it or did you buy it? But yeah, I bought it just because it was only like $5 more to buy it.
Yeah.
And I have watched it actually. Well, we'll talk about that. But yeah, so basically the only real information here is with VOD and theatrical / drive-in releases taken into consideration, it's hovering right around 2 million. Which obviously this is something that, there's no budget information out yet. You'd have to assume this is probably going to be something that's in the ballpark of like a 35, 40 million, something like that. Just like a really mid-tier movie, obviously, as they've always been. Nothing wrong with that. If anything, it means probably going to have a better shot whenever this does go super wide, which I can't imagine they're not going to put it out. Like once every theater is open, I can't imagine that they are not going to release this movie again or just call it its first release. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this movie is going to have a lot of staying power, especially where it is out. And I also think that this movie is going to see a lot of, not re-releases, but a very slow rollout that is going to bring in revenue, a lot of revenue slowly over time, which is, something that isn't the typical format for making film profits, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. So let's go ahead and just jump right into our non-spoiler review here. So you go first.
All right.
You go first. And
again, okay.
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to say again, for those who don't know how it goes, we do our non-spoiler. We have no idea what each other thought of the movie. We do our non-spoiler. Then we give our star rating of the film. Then we hop into the spoiler talk. So go ahead.
I very, very, very much enjoyed this movie. I'll be honest. This is probably a very unpopular opinion. I think this is the best one out of the three.
Really?
Them talking like that, I think, and I talked to Danielle about this. It did not bug me as much because I don't think they're as in your face with it. So, even though Keanu Reeves is like, and Alex Winter, obviously, dude, like, but they're not like as bold with it, I guess, as they were when they were younger. I feel like they kind of know that they're, however old they are. So they're not as in your face. I was worried at the beginning that I didn't know if Samara Weaving and who's the other girl?
Oh, I can't.
Shaw.
I try to remember. No. That was another
Bridget
character.
Lundy.
Yes, her.
Bridget
Lundy. I always forget her name.
I was worried they weren't going to have much to do. They had plenty to do, in my opinion. I thought all the historical figures were funny. I thought you know, I laughed at them like talking a lot, them, you know, traveling back. I mean, it's not, I guess it's not really a spoiler because you see it in the trailer, but them traveling back in time, talk to their past, themselves. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I and the one gag that they touch on every movie where it's, you know, their mom marries this dad and
Missy,
this dad, and now she's married to
Ted's brother.
Ted's brother. Yeah, it's like, oh my god,
freaky.
You know,
deaky.
she's getting around. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
One thing is, I do wish Death was in it more because he was my favorite part of the second one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not a fan. Well, I guess that's like a spoiler.
Yeah, we can hit it
Okay.
and not the spoilers.
Do you want me to do my star rating, or are you gonna go first?
I'll hop in. So wow, all right.
Okay.
So I will say I'm surprised. Because for those, you know, I won't spoil it too much. Go back and listen to our reviews for the first two films. But you know, as he kind of touched on it, TJ had a lot of problems with the first two. Not like in a super negative way. Like he still enjoyed them.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised how much he's, you know, I mean, I would describe this as gushing about this film. I mean, this is like, I am very shocked.
Yeah. I do think it ends like a tad abruptly, but
okay.
In my opinion,
I can see that.
Yeah.
I really did not care for it.
Really?
Yeah, I really think.
Are you being serious again? Or are you doing
no,
this?
I'm just joking around.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Sorry, Chris. I mean, TJ. I really. Yeah. I really like this movie. I think this movie is fantastic. What I was going to say earlier was I've watched it 3 times so far.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think it was fantastic. I just think it was absolutely excellent, and I'm not being bogus about that.
Do they do a guitar riff in the movie at all?
Yeah, they do one. They do
one. Okay.
One. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I think it's like right in the middle. Oh no, it's right. Okay, well that's a spoiler, but it's not really that much of a spoiler. They do it right the first time they go into the old phone booth. That's that's when they do it. But yeah, they only do it like once, maybe twice. I don't know. But it's not that much. Yeah. Let's just do star ratings and then we'll hop right into spoiler. Oh, I will say this. I'll say this for non-spoiler. I've been going back and forth with this, but I genuinely do think this is the best of the 3. I genuinely think that this is the best movie of the 3.
Yeah.
I think this movie.
Well, I guess yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's not really a spoiler or anything, but we'll talk. It'll be towards the end of the spoiler review. We'll just get into it. My star rating is I give it a 4 out of 5.
Really? I would give this. I got to give it a 5 out of 5 because I gave the first one a 5 out of 5. I'm gonna have to reevaluate because I genuinely think that this is a better film. I think this is a more enjoyable film, and I think okay. So if we're taking enjoyment out of it, if you're talking quality of film, this is the two are down on the ground versus this one. When you're talking about like production quality, script, all that stuff, but that's a given almost because it's a bigger budget.
In a way, it's almost kind of the same premise as the second one. In a way, with we have a villain, kind of. Even though she's not really she's not trying to be a villain. She's doing what she thinks is best.
It's more like you said in the Bogus Journey review. Yeah, it's less of a villain and more of a force that they are working against, or that is working against them. You know what I mean? That they have to try and stop, rather than an actual evil villain. Which there's kind of, it makes you think there might be, but it does something really really fun with that. But I will say, I think I'm gonna have to go 5 out of 5 on this. If I have to say, just kind of bumping down, I think I would go with this at a 5 out of 5. I think maybe I'd put Excellent Adventure to 4.5, and then I'd say Bogus Journey like a 2, like a 2 out of 5. But yeah, all right. So let's go ahead and let me throw up the old spoiler alert. There it is, right on the screen there. So you know that we are in the spoiler section. So go ahead. What were we wanting to talk about? Do you want to kind of jump around or?
Well, yeah, we'll just kind of jump around. So first of all, oh my gosh, what's her name? Amy Stotch, is that who it is? Or no?
For which character?
Oh, Holland Taylor. Holland Taylor. Sorry, she plays the great leader. My bad.
Oh yeah.
She sends this killer robot after Bill and Ted, which is Anthony Carrigan.
No, Hank.
You might know him from Bill. Oh my gosh,
Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As NoHo Hank. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't find him that funny. I didn't find the character that funny.
You didn't like
I don't know.
Caleb McCoy?
No,
Oh
I didn't.
God.
I really didn't. I laughed at that like once or twice, but overall, like I didn't think he was that funny.
Oh my God. Okay, I'll say this on Dennis.
I think it's because I have it in my mind. I'm like, oh, he's, give me a Barry thing. Give me a Barry line,
Well, that's
like
what, that's what I'll say. I'll say
yeah.
The whole joke of him just saying like, oh, hi, my name is Dennis. Like that whole thing, like that I did get old with. But the NoHo Hank style stuff is what I really thought was funny. The stuff of where like he accidentally lasers everybody and he just goes, oh no, oh my God, what have I done?
Now you're like now you're like I'm like, okay, that was funny.
Yeah, like but I get what you're saying. The name thing got a little old.
I did think it was funny when Kristen Schall, I can't pronounce
Kristen I think it's just Schall. Yeah.
Who played Kelly, she's like, you named him after my ex-boyfriend.
Yes,
like I thought that was funny.
Yeah. So for those,
which I also thought she was really
know,
funny in the movie.
Yeah, for those who don't know, yes, I typically don't like her. I know she was. I mean, obviously
she's in Bob's Burgers.
She's been kind of like a character actress, and stuff like that. And then she was in Bob's Burgers and Last Man on Earth with Will Forte. She was in that too. Mm-hmm. I typically don't really like her that much, but I really liked her in this. Just for context, Rufus, who obviously, big character, George Carlin for the first two movies. The great leader is Rufus's wife, and then Kristen Schall plays Rufus's daughter. And they don't outright say it ever, but the assumption or the insinuation is that Rufus has died, just like unfortunately, in real life, George Carlin hasn't been with us for a long time.
Which I was happy when I saw him. Even though it wasn't like actually George Carlin, it was like a hologram of Rufus. I was like, oh yeah.
I was like,
he's in this.
That scared me for a second because I was like, whoa, are they going full on like? But
like
no, it
Grand
was
Moff Tarkin.
But my thing was, who is that George Carlin sound-alike they got to do that new dialogue? That was the first thing I said when I heard that. I was like, damn, that sounded exactly like him. But there's no way that's got to be new dialogue. Like absolutely. But what's it called? Yeah, so I think all of that aspect was great. I thought the future stuff was really, really good. I just genuinely, I think this has the strongest plot of all three films. I think it makes the most sense, and I think it has the most at stake. And like I don't even know what to say. Like
you feel it too, because you see all these different people from history coming and popping in, and these different
and like
times,
you feel the consequences. Like shit's not going well. Like there's stuff. There's like stuff really going wrong. But yeah, and I thought too. You're exactly right. I think in terms of the voices, if we just touch on that for a second, I thought it was just enough. I thought because you get it more with like the daughters in this one, because the daughters, obviously being raised by Bill and Ted, they do the voice too. But you almost notice as the film goes on, they slowly stop doing the voice. You know what I mean? Like they ever so slowly, and especially towards the end, they kind of the whole point of the movie is them shedding that part of them, and part of this movie is them going to see potential future thems, and even some of them don't do the voice anymore. Like there's like where they're like now like they're drunks, playing like some bar with like bandanas and stuff. They don't have the voice at all. They don't do the voice at all. They're just super angry, which was funny. Yeah, I just thought overall, I mean, just a really funny film.
Like I said, like I feel like in the first two, like when they were younger, I felt like I mean, that was one of my biggest problems with them was I just felt like I was being beat over the head with the voices.
Yeah.
And like you said, this like, and I don't know if you felt like this. I saw somebody had said, I don't know what it was on, or if I've read it or something, but people thought that Keanu Reeves was almost playing himself, and Alex Winter was going more as Bill in a way. Did you feel that at all
in this movie?
Yeah.
No, I didn't think that at all. I mean, I could see what people mean by that, but I think it's just because that's who Keanu is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't think that's like a fair thing to say that like, oh, he was just playing himself. It's like, yeah, but he was just playing himself back then because that's why they cast him. Because that's who he is. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say, but it was just, I thought they were both really, really good.
No, I thought they were both really good and really funny.
And I think for Alex Winter not being like a main player actor for a long time, I think he went right back in. Like he held his own against Keanu as like the lead of the film. Like, and I thought, damn.
I thought they gave Kelly very good dialogue. Like I liked everything she said. I felt like was funny. Like it always had like a quip or like some like, punchline that I found like very funny. Yeah. Like I said, I think the funniest thing was when she was like, "You named him after my boyfriend." Like,
and like side characters like that like can get really annoying really quickly. But like there's a point in this movie where you're following a group of like 15 people and you're like rooting for every single one of them. And we have to talk about Kid Cudi for a second and his vast knowledge of quantum theory,
physics.
Like I don't know whose idea that was, or if he just watched Ant-Man and Endgame back to back or something. But one of the running jokes in this movie is that like Kid Cudi is like a closeted like quantum physicist or something. Like,
and one of their daughters is too, aren't they? Or somebody else is. Somebody like knows, I think, like I feel like knows like everything about like quantum theory and stuff like that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I remember. I think it's I don't
remember who it is.
Kelly.
But...
I think it was I think it's Kelly that he's talking to about it. Yeah. But man, I just can't even like it's just so freaking funny. And then finally after 30 years you finally get the dad, because one of the jokes about the first two is that Ted's dad never believes them that any of this is actually happening, and then finally it's like it's thrust in his face in this one, and he's like, oh my god, because like the whole joke is like he thinks they're just wasting their lives, and he's like, I should have been helping you this whole time, not keeping you from all of this. Oh my god,
wouldn't you have loved a cameo from the General?
Oh yeah, General Oates.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I would love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my god.
Bill's granny.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing about this movie is I just wanted more death. Sorry, like Death the character. I also just didn't.
What?
I feel maybe I'm wrong on what.
Danielle is blowing my mind right now. She just said it says that Kid Cudi is credited as a reincarnation of Station.
Oh, wait. No, he does say that. He says Station.
Station, yeah.
He goes Station,
Station, yeah. Wait a minute. So
I forgot
Kid
about
Cudi,
that.
That went right over my. I know that he said Station, but I was just like, oh, that's kind of like a cool like thing. But it's just like
throwback, yeah.
Yeah, but like, wow. Okay, if they had nailed that a little bit, if they had brought that a little harder home, and they were like, he is Station, I would have been like, oh my god, like my mind would have been freaking blown. But he does say Station.
The voice of Rufus is done by Piotr Michael. He's voiced people in Wizards, Where's Waldo, The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, Doom Eternal, apparently.
Okay. So it's just like a voice
a lot of
actor.
different stuff.
Probably just got like a really good voice match.
Yeah.
It was
Oh
really
my
good.
God. This movie, it was really funny. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I didn't like go in like thinking I wouldn't like it, but I was like skeptical because I was like, I didn't really. Like the second one. I feel like
I think you really got
the
turned
most
by the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch the reaction on the channel, I mean,
Yeah.
I really liked the trailer.
The trailer for me too.
Actually,
I was like, damn, this actually looks really, really good.
Yeah. Now, my question for you, actually, that I wanted to ask is: do you think that they will go on, but with Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy, or no? Do you think this is their way of introducing them, or no? Because you think people will be like, well, that's not Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. That's not the people I grew up with.
I feel like if we're going to see a Bill and Ted 4,
yeah,
I feel like we're just not going to see a Bill and Ted 4.
No, I know, but do you think that they would give them their own Bill and Ted
I don't
type
think they
movie?
would. I don't think they would.
No?
I think for exactly the reason you said, I think people would be like, okay, I get it. Like, I get that they were Bill and Ted. Because the only complaint that I can see from this movie online and stuff is the daughters, that they're like, okay, like whatever,
the same person.
Yeah, like exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, this is not like I came here for a Bill and Ted movie, not a Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah.
You know what I
but
mean?
Also, it's not like they didn't have anything to do. Like they gathered the people of history, and
I really liked them. I just think they wouldn't go full bore to give them a thing. And then I was like, well, would they even do a Bill and Ted 4? But this movie, I mean, they basically cover the entire rest of their lives. Like the Bill and Ted are out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they're wrapped. I mean, you could do more stuff. You absolutely could. But like I don't really know why you would need to, because it's like they wrapped up their stories so well in this. Question: did you watch to the post-credit scene?
No, there's a post-credit scene.
Yeah. So that's actually
I think I still have my rental.
Okay, yeah, because that I should explain, because that is something that would lead me to say there's not going to be further things, because you go back to their like deathbed selves, and they have one last jam out together. And it basically just ends with them, you're like, all right, they're about to die. Like, that's literally like what the post-credit scene ends with, is they're like, oh, that was one last great, like, it's literally just a scene of them like pulling up amps in like their bedside and like just like rocking out one last time. And then it ends with Alex Winter yells, "Nurse!" and then it cuts to black. But yeah, just based on that, I mean, obviously, like I said, there absolutely could be a Bill and Ted 4. I just don't think that they're going to, daughters or not. Either way, I just think it's like this was a great, and it's so hard to capture lightning in a bottle 30 years later in the same bottle. You know what I mean? And also somehow make it better. Like I think they hit like 1,000 home runs with this movie. Yeah. I think it would be foolish to press their luck. You know what I mean? Like, I think
I can't imagine like Chris Matheson, the original writer. I don't know if the other guy wrote the other one, co-wrote the other two as well, but I think he said something like, I could be wrong. He said something about like, we actually had like a story to tell, rather than just writing some random thing and putting it on screen.
This is absolutely one of those movies where for decades, everybody would ask Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, are we going to get a Bill and Ted 3? And they would always say, we're working on a story. There's a story being worked on. And then I remember back in 2016, they had that video of the two of them at the Hollywood Bowl saying, it's go time. They were like, we got the script. It's fantastic. Bill and Ted 3 is happening. Like, oh my God, I remember that day. That was so awesome when they finally announced that. But yeah, I just think it's one of those things where it's like it took moving heaven and earth to get this third one made, and they knocked it out of the universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do not press your luck with it. That's what I would think.
Ed Solomon did co-write the other one as well. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I see everybody that's like praising the movie, they're all tweeting at Alex Winter and Ed Solomon. But yeah, so I mean, what would be your would those be your final thoughts, or do you have anything else you want to touch on that you haven't yet?
No, I would say this is you got to go see it, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's hop on it. Let's
even
hop
if
on
you
the
don't
spoilers, and say yeah. So recommend.
Even if you don't have an affinity to the other ones, maybe you haven't seen them, I think you could still watch this and really enjoy it.
It's just a feel good movie, especially for now.
Yeah.
Especially for what happened this weekend. I'll tell you, I watched right after the news of Chadwick. I watched a little bit of Endgame. I watched from the portal scene to the end. Yeah, and then right after that, I that was when I got Bill and Ted 3. That was the first time I watched it. It was right after that, and I'll tell you, I would have gone to bed upset that night, but I watched this and I was just like, oh my God, I was grinning from ear to ear. That it's so good. If you're feeling down about anything that's going on with Chadwick or anything else that's going on, definitely watch this. Like TJ said, you don't even really need a backstory on the other two because it gives you enough of what you need in this. But yeah, I mean, I would absolutely recommend it. I think it's $19.99 to rent, $24.99 to own it. Do whatever floats your boat. You know, for me, the $5 extra was nice to just own it because it's only $5.
It was just weird to see Keanu without a beard, but
yeah, I saw somebody that was like, my only complaint is Keanu should have kept the beard, and it's like, he's not playing John Wick. You know what I mean? It's like obviously visually it's very weird to see because for the past 10 years that's all he's looked like. But like it's fine. Like it would be kind of weird if Ted had a beard all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't really have fit.
It wouldn't fit the character.
That's actually one of the things that happens to one of their future selves is that Ted has a little like goatee beard and they're like, whoa, what was up with that, like, angry Harrier you? And it's like, but yeah, super recommend. Like we said, guys, it's just going to be a shorter show. Yeah. So, you know, definitely, you know, we had some unfortunate things that we had to discuss, but, you know, hopefully the future is looking up. We can hope. Watch Bill and Ted 3. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to make an executive decision here. So,
oh boy.
On Planet Council, our sign off is always stay safe and remember the Force will be with you always. Our sign off on Planet Hero has been oh man, what is it? It just left my brain. Oh, our sign off. Yes, of course. Our sign off is stay safe and always remember that the night is darkest just before the dawn. Our sign off on this has always been stay safe and remember to live your life 1/4 mile at a time. I think we are changing that today and for the future going forward to stay safe and always remember to be excellent to one another and party on, dudes. Peace.
See ya.
We'll catch you in the next one, guys.